Hello, everyone. My name is Savannah, and today I will be discussing working and assistance animals, protection of the welfare of dogs who are on the job. So, what is a service animal? According to the Americans with Disabilities Act, otherwise known as the ADA, a service animal is defined as a dog that has been individually trained to do work or perform tasks for an individual with a disability. The tasks performed by this dog are typically related to whatever disability the person may have. As I said, these dogs are not considered companion animals, but they are considered working dogs, so they are on the job. In very rare cases, miniature horses have also served as service animals, but according to the ADA, dogs are the primary accepted form of service animal. Examples of some of the occupations or tasks that service animals typically encounter are things such as deaf alert dogs, guide dogs to the blind, assistance for individuals with medical conditions or psychiatric conditions in taking medications, and then protecting physical safety. One example of this would be protection of small children who have autism spectrum disorder. So, in contrast to this, we have service animals and we also have assistance animals. Assistance animals are not considered service animals by the Americans with Disabilities Act. They are, in contrast, commonly utilized for therapy or emotional support for specific individuals. They may also be amongst any sort of species, not just limited to dogs. And typically, rather than in use of service, they are used for things that would be called animal assisted intervention, or AAI, which is sort of an umbrella term for various categories of animal assisted use. These could be things considered animal assisted activities, or AAA, animal assisted therapy, AAT, or animal assisted education, AAE. For simplicity's sake, we will just, again, wrap them all under the umbrella term of AAI because they do have similar functions. There are just variations within each category. And for assistance animals specifically, I'd like to point out they are not afforded the same legal protections as service animals either. And whereas service animal tasks could take place anywhere in the community or at home, AAI often takes place in community or healthcare settings, such as schools, nursing homes, or rehab centers. So what's the point? The point of this PowerPoint is to discuss the animal aspect of service animal work and AAI. We often think of service or AAI animals in respect to their immense benefit to humans and human health and well-being. But it seems that maybe we neglect to discuss the impacts that these might have on the animal itself and its welfare and quality of life. And so this is going to be crucial as the field continues to grow and expand because more and more animals will be affected by these occupations. And regardless of the work category that you can fit them into, whether that be service animals or AAI animals, they all require the same level of welfare consideration. And so just some examples of situations that they may encounter at work would be frequent or repetitive touch by unknown or strange individuals, often in sensitive areas of the body, such as the feet or tail. New and unfamiliar environments with adverse or unfamiliar sights, sounds, or smells, lack of rest or recovery time in between and after therapy, unintentional maltreatment or mishandling by clients, decreased opportunity for quality social interactions or play with members of their species, and then unpredictability of their daily routine or more chaoticness of their daily routine. Many animals are creatures of habit. And exposure to these conditions can ultimately lead to acute and chronic stress, as well as potential physical injury or negative health impacts, which do contribute to poor welfare. These could be the poor welfare that is experienced by the animal could be acute in the specific work setting, or it could also take place over time, affecting the mood or behavior or physical health of the animal. So, as we are considering ways that we can continue to protect the welfare of the animals involved in service work and AAI, as the field continues to grow, there are a few different categories that we can consider. The first would be the selection of the animal for use in these programs. We will specify dogs just because of their commonality across service and AAI work. But when selecting a dog for these positions, it is important to consider the breed and background of that animal, just because, as we know, some breeds of dog tend to be more social by nature, and they are more adaptable to changing in unfamiliar environments, which may help reduce the stress that is experienced by the animal when it is at work. Additionally, we can use tests such as the Canine Behavior Assessment and Research Questionnaire, or CBARQ, to determine whether a certain dog may be suited to the occupation. This test looks for things such as stranger, owner, or dog-directed aggression, non-social or directed fear, sensitivity to touch, excitability, and energy levels. Again, these are just indicators of potential stressors for dogs at work. If a breed or specific animal tends to be less susceptible to these things, they may be better suited to working in an AAI or service animal environment. Just for example, retriever breeds tend to be chosen often because of their known temperament, stable personality, and ability to be trained and adapt to unfamiliar situations. The second aspect that we want to consider in ensuring the proper welfare of the animals involved in service work in AAI seems to be one of particular importance just because there are many moving parts. That would be the responsibility of the handler to the animal. The handler plays a very important role in the welfare of a service or AAI dog for numerous reasons. The first of which being their ability to stay well informed about the key signs and indicators of poor welfare, which might include adverse behaviors, indicators of physical health, changes in the interest or energy level of the animal. This, again, can tell us a lot about their welfare, whether or not they are fulfilled, having their needs met. Another aspect of the handler's responsibility to the animal is ensuring that it is receiving comprehensive veterinary care at least twice a year, just again to make sure that they are functioning physically and mentally as best they can. And then another aspect that is very, very important is the handler's personal relationship with the animal. This especially because the handlers tend to be the ones who are the actual owners of these dogs. They take them home at the end of the day. They can ensure that they have proper welfare at home so that when they come into work, they are also in the healthiest mindset that they can be. But also their personal relationship is crucial because it will allow them to get to know the pet, to properly read and react to the emotional and physical state of that animal in various environments, and then be able to inform clients on how to best approach the animal. With this knowledge, the handler can sort of foresee potential situations that could be stressful or exploitative to that animal, and then take efforts to avoid them altogether. That way we are not exposing the animal to any unnecessary stressors and therefore harming welfare. And they are still able to interact and impact these clients just in a way that doesn't compromise their well-being. Another important factor, very important factor, is the proper training of these animals. Because as we said, there are quite a few different categories of work that specifically dogs can be doing. It's important that we tailor the training of the animals to best fit the requirements of their role. So that could be, there are some different demands involved with being a service animal versus one that works in AAT or AAE or AAI. So we just want to be taking that heavily into consideration when putting together training plans for the pets so that they can be best prepared to cope with the environment that they're placed in. A good example of this would be the commonly utilized strategy for service animal training is a one pet, one person approach, because they tend to be working one-on-one with an individual client. So that's what they should be best prepared for. But animals who are working in AAI may need to be utilizing a one pet, many person approach, because, as mentioned before, they tend to do a lot of work in community settings or settings where there are numerous individuals involved in the interaction. So the third thing that we want to consider when looking at the protection of welfare of animals in AAI and service settings is the involvement of other human individuals in their care and workplace. So the first category of this would be human or healthcare and human service professionals. So this is specifically pertaining to an animal's use in animal-assisted interventions, because, as we said, these are the ones that tend to take place in healthcare or human service settings. So when these animals are being utilized in the aforementioned settings, the professionals that are existing in this workplace have a responsibility to uphold the same standards of care that are afforded to the clients. This is due to the animal's intrinsic value that we're recognizing and their rights to safety and the protection of their well-being. So it's important for the individuals working in these environments to have some level of knowledge of animal health and behavior indicators, so that they can also assist in reading sort of the state of potential stress of an animal and when intervention may need to occur. And so they must also be aware that we cannot sacrifice the well-being or safety of an animal for a client's benefit, and be on the same page with the handler about this, so that there is a proper plan in place for protecting the welfare of the animal as well. The other category of individual directly involved in the care and welfare of these animals is the veterinary professional. As mentioned, the handler should be going in for very regular services at a veterinary hospital, and the professionals tasked with examining the animals have a responsibility as well. So we would expect the veterinarian to conduct thorough examinations of both the physical and mental well-being of an animal, especially working under the knowledge of its added work responsibilities and exposure to different environments, just in the event that this could have any additional impacts on the health and well-being of the pet. And then it also is crucial that a veterinarian is being detailed in conveying all recommendations for the proper preventive care of the animal, and these could include the core vaccines, flea, tick, and heartworm prevention, and routine dental care, again, so that the overall physical health of the pet is maintained and their welfare is as high as it can be. It is also important for a veterinary professional to point out to a handler that participation in AAI or service work can worsen pre-existing medical concerns that these animals may have. So it's important to have a care plan and keep them closely monitored if these issues do exist. So just to wrap up everything that we discussed today, as the fields of animal-assisted intervention and service animal work continue to grow and positively impact the lives of many, many people, it's important that we are taking steps to maintain the welfare of the animals involved as well. There's no doubt that this field of work has the potential to make incredible strides in human medical and psychiatric care, but it does not need to come at the cost of the animal either. As we move forward, we must ensure that we are selecting animals who are well suited to the environments of service work and animal-assisted intervention, and are properly trained, advocated for, and cared for by handlers who know them well, and whose physical and emotional health are thoroughly and consistently monitored by veterinary professionals. Because of how new these practices are to the mainstream, there is limited research as to the potential welfare outcomes in the short and long term. However, research has indicated possible poor welfare states for dogs working in the field, and if we are able to start by considering the three categories discussed today, we can begin to ensure that stress and other adverse experiences are minimized for dogs on the job, allowing for proper welfare and continuation of their important work.